Welcome you all to new episode of Sportsy. Let's talk sports. Today we have a great friend, complete cricket maniac, IT guy when he started his career with, and from there he moved on to follow his passion with sports and specifically cricket and analytics. Worked with sports tech, worked with Bharat FC Football Club, even though he's a cricket guy, but worked with the football club, worked with Catapult Sport to head the South Asia business. Been there working in multiple aspects of sports and currently looking into the whole sports development aspects of a company called Fenisco based in Canada. Please welcome a great friend, Mr. Venu Gopal.
Thank you for watching, thank you for liking, and thank you for sharing. But please do subscribe on our channel Sportsy Says and follow our handle Sportsy Says across all social media platforms. Please help us spread the word about Sportsy. Let's talk sports. Do subscribe on Sportsy Says.
Hi, Venu.
Hey Sid, how are you doing?
Good, man. Good. Great to have you on Sportsy. Let's talk sports.
That's what we love doing.
Exactly. That is what we love
Talking
doing.
sports.
Just talk about sports. Yes. And
Yep.
Guy, for the viewers, I have Venu with me, Mr. Venu Gopal with me. He's engineer by career. When he started his career as an engineer, and then I think the sports, cricket or other sports pulled him into the passion, and then worked with multiple companies on sports side, mainly analytics and technology side. Been with Sports Code, Bharat FC, then Catapult, South Asia head for Catapult, and now currently he is with Fanisco in Canada. So,
Yep.
Venu, I gave this introduction, but I
Yeah.
want you to tell us the journey from engineering to or the IT background, from sensor to Fanisco, because that is what the aspirants of the industry wants to know. When they can come in the industry and what they can learn from this.
Okay, so just a small correction. You made my parents pretty happy by calling me an engineer. So actually, I'm not. I was more into. I done a bachelor's in IT, but then yeah. So they always wanted me to be an engineer. Unfortunately, I could not live that dream. So, but yeah. So, I started off in the IT industry after doing my postgraduate diploma in management. But then I've never been into roles which are technology focused per se from a programming standpoint.
Mhm.
I've always been into sales and marketing and account management, those kind of
Right.
roles. And I started off in the IT industry in Pune. So Zensar being the first company, and then moved to L&T Infotech as well. So pretty much into pre-sales marketing mold, but selling technology. So I had a bit of a flair of talking about IT systems, how it helps in day-to-day lives, and that kind of got me into that path. But then 5 years down the line in my career, I was feeling a bit empty inside. I just wanted to explore something new and do something different. And in that point in time, I was also playing club cricket, corporate cricket
Right.
as well on weekends. So that was always there. Sport was always a part of my life, and obviously being in India, everybody used to love watching cricket. Whatever it was, even if
Yes.
it's not India playing, we used to always love watching it.
Yeah.
So that's something which kind of got me glued to the sport. And so I started doing a bit of research on weekends with regards to what are the possible opportunities in sports to
Mhm.
make a career. If you're not playing active sport, or if
Right.
you're not in that mold of being a professional sportsman. So and it was kind of in that period which saw a huge transformation in India as a sports industry.
Mhm.
So that's when IPL was launched in 2008 2009, and that kind of created a
Right.
bandwagon of so many leagues coming into the picture. And that was the turning point according to my experience of being in India, as well as working in that industry. So
Mhm.
that was what changed the entire dynamics and ecosystem of how sports is perceived. Before
Right.
that, it was more of recreation. It was more of something to do for in the evenings, go out and play with your group of friends
Yeah.
and stuff. But then people started taking it very seriously, and it could become a proper career option because there were so many associated roles which came with those leagues, which came with those new initiatives in sport. So I think that was what was the game changer for me in India. And and that point in time I started doing a bit of research in terms of what could be potential roles for a person like me who has no sporting background per se to venture out into the industry. And that's when I figured out that so my first love was for cricket. And and I was also interested in a lot of analytics and doing a bit of what do you say, soul searching in terms of what went wrong in the game, what could have been done better and stuff. So then that's when I discovered performance analysis as a possible career option or a possible field to kind of venture out into. And when I say performance analysis, is video analysis, analyzing stats, and it's the entire package together. And so I started doing a bit of research around what's there in the market in this domain, because it was always talked about by commentators when they spoke about video analysts, when they spoke about teams doing their research and their homework on particular batsmen or bowlers. So that's when I figured out a few organizations that do that kind of work. With regards to software, with regards to providing that kind of inputs to teams. And so I started doing a bit of freelance work. So you could imagine, so working more like an intern. It's free, so more like an intern per se, or more like somebody who can do the donkey work for a few organizations. So but that was a surreal experience, to be honest, because I mean, like I said, even today when we speak in management institutes, when we speak to students, we always give that same thought process down to them as well, right? So when you're venturing out into a new space or a new domain or new industry, first you have to learn before you start to earn, right? Or begin to earn. So that's something which we need to imbibe as a culture within all the youth today, because sports per se sounds like a very flashy and very what do you say, it has a lot of glamour associated with it, but there's a lot of hard work which goes behind, and there's a lot of learning that needs to come in, because you can't just go into a new role or a new industry and start performing from day one. You need to know the thing, need to know the business. And that's when I started doing a bit of analytics. And I didn't have a software or anything to work with initially, so I just picked up an Excel sheet. There was an India-Sri Lanka game going on, a test match. So one fine day I just decided, I'll just create a few parameters for analysis. So I made an Excel sheet and, did a bit of donkey work of doing ball by ball entry of data. So at the end of the day, what I had was very rich data, so, to work with. Oh, wow. So that was something which was quite nice to start off with. And then I converted all that Excel data into a PowerPoint presentation using my management and so-called MBA skills into play. So that became a game changer for me, because before that I used to write to a lot of these companies in this space. So I was like any other kid in the block, right? So who's coming and saying that I am interested, I have a passion for sport, I want to do this, but nobody will take you seriously unless they see something in action, right? And that's when I started sharing that data, that analysis, that presentation, people started taking me seriously. And they thought that, yes, there is something which we could work around because of what you produced, and that data was quite good. So then I started getting confidence and, ventured into the industry, worked with a startup company based out of Chennai. And initially I was doing a bit of part-time work with them on weekends since I was still in a full-time job. But then there came an opportunity wherein, I was supposed to go to Chandigarh and present to Kings 11 Punjab on behalf of them. So they sent me as a representative of the company, and then I met Michael Bevan, who was the coach back then. So that was a huge, game-changing experience for me as well. Yes. So sitting across the table and shaking hands with him and explaining him and giving a presentation to him. So that was really good. Got to learn a lot of things from that experience. So then we got the contract, signed a deal with them. So that's when the whole dynamics changed for me. My journey started there as in the sports analytics space. So that was kind of quite interesting. After that, I worked with them for a year or more, and then I saw that I acquired a lot of experience in the industry, and so then I saw an Australian sports tech giant called Sports Tech, which was back then. Now it's called as Huddle. So they were setting up base in India. in Mumbai through their new office. And so they had been working with distributors and resellers earlier, but they wanted a full-time presence. And that's when I saw my opportunity that, this could be something big, because, they are looking for people with sales and marketing experience, plus a bit of flair for sports and technology. And that kind of, was a big win for me personally in my career, because, there were so many applicants for that kind of a job, and, I kind of felt very proud of myself at that point in time that I could beat that competition and get into the, thing. So that was something which was a really good experience for me. And, it also taught me that, the time and effort that I invested earlier in doing my research and doing that, all that work for those companies, that really helped me going forward. Exactly, that paid off. So, you got to invest at least, as a new entrant in the industry, at least 1 or 2 years to learn the things and gain that experience. And that's when you can be confident of yourself and your abilities. That's what I learned from that perspective. And so that was a really good experience. Got to travel to Australia for training, then got to understand the sporting landscape, how it works there versus how it works in India. And so that was a big cultural sensitivity learning for me as well, in terms of how customers and how the market reacts in India to other parts of the world when it comes to sports technology. So there were so many good learnings out of their entire experience. And, then it was like, I completely did a PhD on the Indian sports market in terms of what is the mindset, how people perceive technology, and how do we, so it was a mindset wherein we cannot go there and sell directly, right? We cannot say this is a product, this is a price, take it or leave it. That's something which doesn't work in India. So that was something which was really interesting. So we figured out that in India, if you have to grow, you need to handhold the customer. You need to go and talk to them. You need to educate them more than anything else. Because that was a big learning for me, wherein, we started doing a lot of events, we started doing a lot of seminars, and that's when the education started, because, it was a very new market in India. Not many people knew about this. Even if they knew about it, they did not know what comes with it, right? It was like they've just heard somewhere that video analysis, this works like this and all those kind of things. So, and plus this system used to work on a Mac. So that was another challenge, because India is predominantly a Windows-centric market. So that was an additional challenge, not just selling the system, but also selling, the concept of buying a Mac. So that it kind of used to frustrate me at times in terms of, why do I need to sell somebody else's hardware? But then I realized, why a Mac is so good. And I mean, nothing against Windows. It's still a good machine to use. But then I realized when it comes to videos, and handling big data and stuff, Mac kind of really is a easy interface to use. And after that, I've been always on Apple products, iPhone and Mac and stuff. So I've never changed back to Windows. So that was a big learning for me as well there as well. So that then we kind of, in that market, we grew with a lot of different sports than cricket. And that was again a big learning, because I was all into cricket at that point in time, but I never knew football that much. So that I learned as a sport. And, I started interacting with clubs, with coaches, and figured out where could be a fit for that solution. And so that was something which was very interesting to, be a part of that journey. So we started off with one club, and then we ended up with, 7 or 8 people signing up and, buying the software. So that was really, really good. And that also proved that, there is a certain herd mentality, even in sports, right? Not just anywhere else, like a normal business market wherein, if one person buys it, the others follow. It's there in sports as well, that competitive edge that comes from that, what this team is using, that why not me as well, right? So that's how it was. So so that took a bit of time to propagate, but when it came through, it was really encouraging. So then it was so good for me to be a part of that growing market, and I actually saw the transformation happening from ground zero, wherein nobody used any technology, from the fact that it's people started using it. So in cricket, it was always being used. IPL teams used it. Team India used it, right from the days of John Wright and Saurav Ganguly. But then in football and other sports, it was still pretty new, right? It wasn't a very professional setup per se when it came to using technology. So that was a big change that really, transpired or transformed sports from something else, to something else. So that was a big learning for me. I got a good opportunity to work with a Pune-based football club, and I actually, thought it was a great challenge for me, because I wasn't a big football fanatic per se, but I wanted to learn the sport. because I had worked with as an account manager with so many clubs. So I wanted to actually explore that side of analytics of working with a coach directly. And believe me, working with a product company versus working with a club are completely different. Two different aspects of the ecosystem, and it's completely you don't feel you're in a job when you're working with a team. It's like you're living the dream. You get to go to stadiums, experience that atmosphere, get to work with coaches, get to be in the dressing room, get to handhold and rub shoulders with players and star performers and stuff. So and the media attention which comes with it, completely different experience. So I wanted to kind of experience that aspect as well. So being with Bharat FC, going to the games, standing on the rooftop of Balewadi Stadium and shooting a game from there. So all that was finding a vantage point on other stadiums as well, in Shillong, in Kolkata. Another life-changing experience happening in Kolkata with when I had a rundown with their hardcore fans. That was another experience for me. So, oh my God, that was something else, man. Wherein we had a home game. We had an away game with East Bengal, and it was 1-1 going into the last 5 minutes of the game, and that's when we had a situation of a red card probably being offered to a East Bengal player, and someone from the crowd got irritated. As you know, our Bengali crowds are really passionate, especially in Salt Lake Stadium in Kolkata. And someone came and snatched my camera away and pretended that he's going to break it. And I had to snatch it back from him. And oh my God, that was some kind of experience. Thankfully, somebody, a mob from the crowd came and controlled that. And I could run away with my laptop in one hand, my camera in another hand, and my bag hanging on my shoulder. I had to run out of the stadium.
Wow.
So that was another experience, for me. I was like, I thought that, this could be the last day of my life. If I was there in the mob, they would have literally thrashed me. But yeah, that changed a lot. That also gave me a perspective about how to be careful when I go to Kolkata the next time. I made sure I don't wear my team jersey when I'm standing and filming the game, and I don't wear any identity cards. So that was also a good experience. So that was all a part of this experience. Then unfortunately the club had to be shut down after the first year of operations. And I worked with the academy setup also for a while. So that was one more thing which, created a lot of new learnings for me, working with kids, because I'd never done that before. So that was another great experience. Then Catapult happened. So yeah, I learned one technology which was related to video analysis, but then this was, another really interesting aspect in the world of technology and sports. So, wearable technology was a big thing back then.
Right.
So obviously it was being used for a while, but in India, it was a very, very new concept. Only a few guys knew about it. Not many clubs were using it. A couple of ISL clubs were using it when I joined Catapult. But then, it was, people knew about it, but they didn't, again, similar to what happened a few years back, they didn't know what exactly comes with it. So once again, it was a huge experience of educating the audience in terms of what the technology is all about and how does it help somebody. So it was actually a GPS device, which the players, I mean, you would have seen it, with all these international players now in cricket as well, wearing that device on their shoulder, between their shoulder blades, and there's a bit of a bulge which comes out. So that device is used for tracking an athlete's movements, in acceleration, deceleration, jumping up and down, forward, backward, everywhere, and plus their heat maps in terms of where are they spending more time on the pitch. So that was the kind of technology which kind of redefined the way football was being played, and it helps in a lot of manners, not just from strategy standpoint, but also from a standpoint of injury management, rehabilitation. How do we get somebody back to peak fitness? So once we get that rich data, it creates a lot of difference in terms of understanding what your player is capable of, and versus how we can perform and what's his level, right? So that really created a lot of learning opportunities for me as well to understand technology in detail. And trust me, it wasn't easy when I joined first to understand the technology for myself, because it was very complex. Complex in the sense that, there were so many parameters. But then when I started getting a hang of it, then I realized the actual potential that the technology
Mhm.
has in terms of transforming sport, and not just from a player standpoint, but also from a viewer standpoint. In terms of if we provide that data on screen as a fan, for a fan, as a broadcaster, how much enriching the experience would be. Imagine knowing a Sunil Chetri's top speed in a particular
Right.
game, or how much distance he has run, or a Virat Kohli's heart rate when he's batting. So that kind of data enriches fan experience. So
Right.
that also was another area that I kind of associated myself with. And we also did a pilot with the Pro Kabaddi League with Star Sports,
Mhm.
wherein we were tracking the heart rate of defenders as well as the guys who were going into raids. So that was a big learning experience, sitting on the side of commentators in the Kabaddi League, and giving them data about the heart rate of players and stuff. So that was another life-changing experience for me, because I've never been in a live sporting event that close, from a
Right.
commentary standpoint or from a production standpoint. So yeah, so that's what it was. And now, being in Canada, it's a completely different market altogether here. So here it's another learning that there are two types of sport, which is indoor and outdoor, and summer sport and
Yeah.
winter sport. So that's another big learning in terms of how sport is perceived here. I'm still playing club cricket out here in Canada as well. So that's something which has not changed.
Nice.
Apart from that, working with consulting with a company called Fanisco, which is based out of the US. So
Right.
that is into fan engagement or fan engagement solutions. So happy to answer any questions with regards to that if you have.
Yes. So I think it's in the whole journey that you mentioned, I think that every aspect of the every opportunity that you had, I think it has a good learning for the people who understand how they have to make career in the sports, what all thing aspect they should be looking at, and all the same. So
Correct.
since we are on the fan engagement side of it,
Mhm.
I wanted to understand what kind of sports tech companies which are there right now in what you get to see are typically working on the fan engagement model. Some of the some big names or type of the work.
So if you ask me, fan engagement in itself is a big domain, so
Correct.
there are multiple ways to engage fans. So there are technology companies which do it virtually through mobile apps and stuff. For example, Fanisco does that. And now even through virtual reality or augmented reality, which is another big thing in this market, which we'll talk about later.
Yes.
And there are companies which do a lot of stuff from an event standpoint. So doing engagement activities on ground, during the game itself.
Right.
So for example, there could be multiple events that they're hosting for fans, where families come together. Kids could be given a separate section where they could come and do something different. So those are the ways where fan engagement is happening. So Fanisco is one of them. There are many other things like, sports tourism is also a big thing now with regards to fan engagement, wherein a few companies like Fanatic Sports and stuff, they're coming up with concepts wherein, they'll make an enriching experience for a fan if they engage with them and, if they tour with them and stuff. So Bharat Army is one of them, which is again doing a lot of stuff
Right.
with regards to, getting fans together. So again, it's a huge market. Like I said, some is technology oriented, some is event oriented. So from a technology standpoint, so with Fanisco, what we're doing is we have, multiple solutions which we are doing from a mobile standpoint. So now everybody, the millennial fan is quite different than what it was, say, about 10 to 20 years back. With the advent of mobile phones and with the internet and 4G and 5G coming into the picture, so a lot of data and information is being consumed, or a lot of content is being consumed on the phone, or or what do you call a second screen. The first screen is basically what you see on television, and the second screen is basically what you see on your hand. So that's something which is engaging fans a lot more than before. And a fan in today's generation need not be the one who goes to all the games in the stadium.
Correct.
So that concept is completely outdated now. Yes, the hardcore followers or team fans would always go, but the point is that there are so many other categories emerging now, so that now the challenge is to identify who is your true fan, as the team. And there is so many options also now that a lot of people change loyalties in between, right? So that also happens. So again, so how do we engage, retain, and then kind of look at monetizing that opportunity? That's how we are looking at fan engagement in detail. So I'll give you an example, right? So Fanisco helps teams also in building apps. specifically for that team, right? So club apps or, a tournament app or something like that. So
Okay.
we have stuff like what you have in your, fantasy leagues and stuff happening in terms of, having a leaderboard and people
Yeah.
participating in contests. It's a great tool to also sell your merchandise. It's a great tool to have contests where you could reward your fans, right? And that's what keeps them engaged. The challenge in today's times is it's not about engaging fans only when the game is on. It's also
Right.
about engaging fans when the game is not on, during
Yes.
preseason, during the non-season time. What do we do with fans, right? So they are bored, they want content, right? How
Yeah.
do we give them exclusivity? How do we give them something which no other team is giving, right? So for example, we came up with an augmented reality concept with Fanisco, wherein, if you are a team's fan, if you point out your phone's camera towards the team logo wherever you've spotted on billboards in the stadium, so it might play an exclusive video for you. Could be locker room banter between two players. It could be a special goal which was
Oh,
taken
nice.
from a different angle, a 360-degree video. You could even in the augmented reality space, you could even create a portal wherein you might get a feeling where you're looking at a phone that you're walking inside a stadium and
Yeah.
the game is going on, and you get to see a 360-degree video of a goal being scored. You might be standing next to a Cristiano Ronaldo or something like that. So those
Yeah.
are the kind of innovative technologies coming into play. So that's some kind of changing the complete landscape of fan engagement, right? And this is something which obviously you cannot experience going to the stadium alone, right? So these are things which are being propagated on social media, on the mobile phones and stuff. On halftime, you could even come up with predictive analytics, right? In terms of who's going to win the game, come up with surveys, polls and questionnaires, and whoever gets it right gets a prize or something like that. So these are the kind of analytics which are driving fan base for teams today.
Yeah. So, okay. So you explained the different aspects of the fan, the way it is happening. But what are the typical segments inside the fan engagement zone, like where the way you spoke about event side or the AR VR side, are getting more and more utilized? Because finally, at the end of it, we have to have a technology which is going to get the ROI for the investors into sports.
Yes.
And also
Exactly.
it's like, and also the fan cannot be taken for granted, and you have to get more from them. So what do you think are those aspects which are actually playing a bigger role now?
So if you ask me, and this is actually another for Fanisco as well, I'm going to do one more event which is on digital innovation and digital sponsorships, which is another huge driving factor in terms of how a fan is being perceived by a team. Because sponsorship traditionally has always been through advertisement, through onboard advertising, on-field activations and stuff. But now, and especially now due to COVID, which has been a forced change, a lot of the teams are not talking about digital activation, digital sponsorship, right? Because there is absolutely no live sport happening, and even if it happens, there is no guarantee that the stadium would be full.
Yeah.
So so that has kind of driven forced change from traditional sponsorships or traditional activations to digital activations or sponsorship. So imagine if you are looking at your phone, a Nike could be a key sponsor for a particular team, and the logo could be projected there on the screen when you're actually looking at the app. So so imagine how many eyeballs will be looking at that screen at one point in time, right? So it's not about just the fans going to the stadium, but also about how many people are looking at a particular event happening on their phones, at a particular given point in time. So imagine how much of digital revenues that will drive for sponsors in terms of ROI. And you could even have contests. So I mean, there was this interesting example from the NHL in the US that somebody spoke about, that one of the car manufacturing companies, a very popular one, was actually giving out a car as a grand prize for the fan who was on top of the leaderboard. So imagine that those are the kind of initiatives which drive a lot of traffic towards these fan engagement activities. So then from an ROI standpoint, imagine how much the team would earn. Imagine how much the sponsors would also get as eyeballs and as people viewing that product online. So that's kind of completely changing the dynamics, right from the traditional models towards the virtual model as well.
Right. So we have seen across multiple sports, and we'll talk about cricket specifically later with you because of your background. I want to understand
Mhm.
one thing: what is the impact of technology that is created on
Mhm.
sports?
Mhm. So I think, and this is where I think, a lot of education is needed as well for people. A lot of people, especially, I don't want to brand them as old school, but people, have this perception that, technology is going to replace them, but that's not the case. And especially with the AI and all these talks nowadays coming into picture,
Yeah.
I always keep telling coaches, and even when I was doing my job with Sports Strike or with Catapult, that it's just an enabler or something to facilitate better coaching or better results for the team. It's not there to replace somebody. And as long as we view technology as an enabler, that's how
Mhm.
you can make maximum utilization out of it. It won't
Correct.
do the job for you. The job has to be done by you as a coach and by the players who are playing on the field. But
Correct.
it's only helping you make better decisions by
Mhm.
data driven models, or through information that can actually help you understand.
Yeah.
For example, whenever I was talking about video analysis, right, to teams or to clubs or even to students, when we do our lectures, it's always about the data being there, but it's not about just reading the data as is. It's about
Correct.
how do we extract information from that data. Just producing data is not the key,
Got to
or
make sense out
just
of it.
looking at numbers is not the key. How do you make sense out of it? Exactly, right? So in terms of if I know that as a bowler, my primary mode of dismissals is either LBW or bold. What does that tell you? It tells you that I as a bowler like to bowl wicket to wicket and very straight. I don't give room to the batsman to play. So those
Right.
are the kind of insights that people can derive from the data, and that's what the key is for an analyst working with the team, or for the technology being used. So that is impacting sport in a big way. But again, as long as there are people who could make sense out of it and not use it as a gospel only, that
Mhm.
this is telling me this, so I'm doing this. No, that's not how it is. Ultimately, you as a coach or you as an analyst, and your brain is what
Yeah.
perceives that information. How you produce it to impact the performance of a player, that's what matters in the end. It's not there to replace you, because ultimately the players are playing the sport and you are
Correct.
coaching and teaching. It's the technology is not teaching anybody. The technology is only an enabler, and that's how it's going to tell you that what are you supposed to do in these kind of scenarios.
Right.
And that's why data comes into a picture.
Right. So, for people who are aspiring to make career out of in sports technology as an industry, what are typical career
Mhm.
options which are there for them?
So that's a good question. There are multiple things that people can do with technology in sports. So the first thing is obviously, you could become performance analysts working with clubs or teams, right? And that's something which is a big career option for people who are really interested in data and analytics, and who are really interested in a particular sport.
Mhm.
And that's what I keep telling people, that it's not about just understanding systems or computers. It's more than that. You need to also have a big passion for sport. And I mean, even I was hearing Harsha Bogle speak on some other conversation with somebody else, when somebody asked them about how do we venture into journalism or sports presenting. That's where he mentioned that you need to know the sport in and out. You need to love the sport, not just top class sport which is being played at international level, but also
Yeah.
sport which is being played at domestic level, under 19 level and stuff. So I think that was his key message, and that's my key message here as well, right? You need to really fall in love with a particular sport. When it comes
Yes.
to football, you need to know not just the Bundesliga and the Premier League game, but also
Yeah.
about what's happening in India, as Indian football, which has really grown in the last few years with ISL and I League and everything, right? So with cricket, it's not just about the glamour aspect of IPL. You should also be able to follow Test cricket. You should be also
Yeah.
able to follow what's happening in other leagues around the world, and then that's when you actually know what is the trend, what are the trends emerging out of your particular sport.
Right.
Plus, you need to understand technology. When I say technology, you need not be a programmer per se, because I was never one. So, but I understood how to use computer system, softwares, and learn how do we use those particular softwares, plus peripheral devices like your TV tuner cards, your cameras and stuff. So
Right.
those are the certain aspects which you need to understand. And I think now, if you ask me, there are so many avenues which have opened up with a lot of these technology companies, getting interns and training them to use these softwares. In our times, it was all about, go and hunt for your own thing,
Yeah.
right? It was never a case of, courses being conducted in these areas. But
Right.
now it has become a very professional setup. So at least now you can understand companies like Huddle or, even other companies who are offering internships, trainings, and getting people to come and work with them for clients who need analytics work, right? So it's becoming a knowledge process oriented industry, like we used to call the KPO, right? So that's how it's becoming.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of avenues when it comes to technology, and plus if you are really good at development work and programming work, you could even create your own product or software. Because now I've seen that over the last few years, there's so many guys who have come up with startups with very very innovative technology products in this space.
Excellent. So it's I think the whole thing about the fan engagement and technology, I think it was just pouring out of, and we could see the passion in you about when you wanted to mix the whole technology and sports together. So really great talking to you here on the whole sports technology perspective.
Thank you, Sid. Always a pleasure, and yeah, always happy to share knowledge, and yeah, love to talk sports.
But for now, I think
Yep.
really great talking to you, Venu. Amazing, and stay safe, take care, and hope to see you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sid. My pleasure, and yeah, lovely talking to you once again.
Yes. Thank you, buddy. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking and thank you for sharing. But please do subscribe on our channel Sportsy Says and follow our handle Sportsy Says across all social media platforms. Please help us spread the word about Sportsy. Let's talk sports. Do subscribe on Sportsy Says.